Hey you guys, welcome back to the Makeba channel. My name is Kamika King, your girl, and your trusty and loyal guide in hair science and hair care and all things Makeba. If you didn't know, maybe you're new here, I am the founder and the CEO of the Inspired Group, under which are my two brands, Makeba, which is where you guys are at over here in Makeba Land, and the I Am Grooming Company. So if you have a wonderful man in your life, be it father, son, uncle, cousin, nephew, we have some really great products over at our IamGrooming.com, IamGroomingCo.com website. All right, you guys. So today we are tackling Veda number 12. And for those of you who may have forgotten, Veda means video every day in August. So this is Veda number 12. I hope you guys have been enjoying these because I personally have been going back and looking at them and thinking, dang girl, you're dropping some real hair science out here. So it's been very informative for me and helpful, and I hope you guys feel the same. So let's get right into Veda number 12. And Veda number 12 is about the 4 stages of hair growth. So many of you may have not known, we actually have 4 stages of hair growth for every individual strand of hair on our head. Yes, every individual strand of hair has its very own life cycle, and it goes through these 4 stages from start to finish before a new hair grows in. So let's get into the first one. The first one is called anagen. This is most often called the growth stage, and it can last anywhere from 2 to 6 or 7 years, right? The longer your anagen phase, the longer potential you have for your hair to get. So somebody with really long hair generally has a longer anagen stage than somebody with really short hair, unless the person with short hair has cut their hair. But if you find that your hair naturally and easily gets very long versus someone who's doing all the same great things to their hair, and their hair stays much shorter, it's probably because the anagen phases are different in the different individuals. Now, anagen phases are predetermined by your genetics, but they can be altered and they can be slightly improved with pharmacology and so on. And they also can be reduced by trauma. So let's get into some things that can cause trauma to your scalp and therefore reduce your anagen stage. Excuse me. The first one is alopecia. Alopecia and various forms of alopecia can reduce your anagen phase in that it causes your hair to shrink or it causes your hair to fall out and not grow back. So therefore a hair follicle and scar over. So a hair follicle that may have had an anagen phase of maybe 4 or 5 years now could maybe just grow to stubble, meaning it has an anagen phase of maybe a year or 2 or less or more. Or it doesn't grow in at all. So this therefore reduces the anagen phase. Scarring on your scalp from external injury can reduce your anagen phase because it's causing your hair not to grow in. You can keloid, and once again, you can scar. And internal health issues can stunt your anagen growth phase. Why? Because your body is not getting the nutrients and the vitamins it needs to supply hair growth, in addition to other health issues like lupus, diabetes, and different things like that are affecting your hormones, therefore reducing your anagen growth phase. So the anagen growth phase is what you may have also heard about when you've heard the term terminal hair length. Terminal hair length just means the end length of your hair. So that is determined by your anagen growth phase. Most of your hair at any given time is 85 to 90% of your hair is in this anagen growth stage for most of your life. But the remaining 10 to 15%, which is what we focus on a lot, is usually in the other 2 stages that we're going to get to, the other 3 stages, but it's really like 2.5 that we're going to get to. But know this, that your anagen growth phase can be altered to be extended by drugs like, let's say, a minoxidil, which thickens the anagen hair and prolongs that phase of growth and therefore shortens the other phase. It's called catagen intelligent, which we're going to get into right now, right? Catagen is what's called the transition or the involution stage. And what that simply means is this is the stage where which your hair begins to, or really your hair follicle begins to shrink in on itself, where it separates from its blood supply. And so your hair actually stops growing at the root, but it still continues to push out of your scalp. That is called the catagen phase. You don't really have to worry about it so much because, like I said, between a combination of 10 to 15% between it and the next phase, telogen, is where your hair is. So most of your hair, again, is in anagen. So you don't really have to worry about catagen because it's just transitioning. This stage, by the way, can last a few weeks. So that's even more reason why you have to worry about it as much, because it only lasts a few weeks. Now, this next phase is one that gets a lot of attention, and I understand why, but you really should be looking at the whole hair cycle, not just this phase. And this phase is called telogen. Now, telogen is actually the resting phase. Like I said when I was referring to catagen, in combination with catagen, 10 to 15% of your overall hair on your head is in the telogen phase. So it's not a big part of your overall hair. But the reason that the telogen phase is so important is, number one, because it lasts for about 3 to 5 months. So it gives, it's in the bigger picture, it's enough, if a lot of your hair is intelligent phase, it's long enough that you notice it. We live in days, weeks, months, and years. So 3 to 5 months is, nearly half a year. We notice that, right? During the telogen phase, your hair is usually just sitting on your scalp, luxuriating like a squatter. But this is also the phase that we have a tendency to focus on for regrowth. It's squatting, but your hair is usually actively growing new hair under it. So again, we focus a lot on it. It is important, but still. This phase is the most notable when many of your hairs effleure, or that's a French word for flowing out. Many of your hairs effleure at the same time. That's the only time that you really notice that your hair is intelligent, because your hair is flowing out of your scalp. And you especially notice it when a lot of hairs flow out at the same time from the same area, because that's when you notice thinning and balding, right? So that's why you have terms like telogen effluvium, where, let's say, if you are menopausal or if you are postpartum, the hormones in your body begins to shift, and a lot of hairs will flow out of your head at the same time, and you will have thinner hair, or you may even have some bald spots. So that's another big reason why telogen gets a lot of blame for hair fall and a lot of attention. Now, this last phase is called exogen. And up until recently, exogen wasn't really classified as its own phase, but there's a lot that goes into the exogen phase, so that it was carved out of the telogen phase and kind of given its own phase in newer hair life cycle models, right? And so what the exogen phase is what it sounds like. It's the exiting phase. It's when the hair is actually pushing out of your scalp and falling after the resting telogen phase. So this is when you can expect to lose about 75 to 150 hairs per day in various parts of your scalp, which is why, because it's various parts of your scalp, you don't notice it as much. It's only, like I said earlier, when many hairs from the same section exit at the same time that you notice bald spots and thinning. But generally, with a healthy head of hair, this doesn't happen. The exogen phase is the trigger to the restart of the anagen phase found during this time, and therefore it warrants its own parts of a cycle in the current model. So I shared a little bit of that with you guys before. And then the time frame for this is usually about 3 to 5 months, and is lumped in with that telogen. Here's the thing about the exogen phase. This is when you begin to see the hair in the shower. This is where you begin to notice the hair in your scalp. So a lot of people will say, oh, I just took my braids down. Look how much hair my head has shed. Is this a lot? And you have to remember that you shed between about 75 to 150 hairs per day, depending on your hair and your genetics. So you're generally going to see a lot of hair, if it's healthy, in your combs. The concern is making sure that the amount of hair in your comb is, in a sense, balanced with the hair that's still on your head, and you're not seeing a lot of thinning. Um, Another reason why the exogen phase was carved out and is very important is because there are a lot of very important things that happen during this phase that warrants to carve out. And one of them being is this is the phase that, let me just say it over here. This is the phase when new hair begins to bud because you are transitioning from telogen through the exogen to the anagen phase. So your hair is creating what are called hair follicle stem cells, bulge cells. It's regenerating and renewing itself and reconnecting to the blood supply. So that's why exogen is important as well. So those are the 4 stages of a healthy hair growth cycle. You should be aware of them. A lot of times there's not much to worry about, but if you do start to notice hair thinning, hair fall, or excess thinning and hair fall, then of course make an appointment with your dermatologist and also a paramedical professional such as a trichologist, and talk to them about your hair concerns and what's going on in your life. And as always, we have great products that will be able to help you through every stage of your hair life cycle over at Makeba. But that's it. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, this Veda number 12. And as always, I would appreciate it if this video has been a benefit to you that you would like. If you have further questions or just want to comment, drop it down in the comment section. And also, if this has been useful, again, share it with those that you think it would be helpful to as well. Don't forget to sign up for our newsletter. Visit us over in our social media estates, and just engage and talk to us. I love you guys so much. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Mwah.